why is Bitcoin dropping? And I know a lot of people want to know why Bitcoin is dropping. And so first and foremost, the reason why Bitcoin is dropping at the moment is that it's a liquidity problem. So there's a slowdown in liquidity growth, and in particular, the absolute fall in US liquidity. And so we're going to start with this. Let me show this screen right here. So as you can see here, so the New York Fed, so apparently they held an emergency meeting with Wall Street's banks to discuss money market liquidity concerns. So the Fed, apparently they called the meeting because repo rates are flashing warning signs, according to this article. And as well, so we know that banks have little cash after all these years of quantitative tightening. And there's actually a very good chart from Cross-Border Capital, which you can see it very well, what the problem actually is. And so the problem is that there's a shortage of liquidity, and you can see this in the bank reserves. So the orange line, these are the excess bank reserves, and they have been falling, as you can see here on the chart, from 2023 till now, actually. And what does this mean is super basic, is banks have less spare cash. Then the second reason is you can see here and meanwhile the trade fails go up. So the trade fail is rising. And that's just super simple. That's just the reason why the Fed did this sudden meeting, because there are liquidity problems. So that's the reason Bitcoin is dropping. But you can flip this coin around, and a lot of people are screaming for, okay, they will maybe do some emergency quantitative easing. I don't know. Nobody knows, only the people at the Fed. But this is the reason, this is the main reason why Bitcoin is dropping at the moment. But of course, like I always say, you never only have to look about US liquidity. It's global liquidity that moves Bitcoin. But then again, global liquidity is not looking great either. So as you can see, okay, global liquidity went up, but only by a little bit. So global liquidity this week, it climbed to 188 trillion US dollar, but it's mostly powered by central bank liquidity injections from China. So it's the BBC that is doing these liquidity injections, why the global liquidity is moving up. But yeah, the problem is, like I said, the slowdown in the US liquidity growth. And then the second reason why there's not a lot of global liquidity is the US dollar. So as you can see, well, as you guys know, the US dollar has recovered against almost all major currencies. So the last few weeks, US dollar is going up. And I showed this on Thursday on Georgia's stream as well. And that's not good. Of course, there is a lag. So there's about a 3-month lag, but that's the problem. The last 3 months, the US dollar went up, which is, and this is what we're feeling at the moment. And this is one of the main reasons global liquidity is not going up. So this was reason one, no global liquidity and mainly no Fed liquidity. This is the main reason why Bitcoin is not going up. Now, the second reason, which is also super important in my opinion, are the interest rates. So as everyone knew, everyone thought we were going to see rate cut after rate cut. It was almost at 100% that we were seeing a rate cut. But now actually, as you can see here on this chart, there is more chance that we won't see a rate cut than we will see a 25 basis point rate cut. And this is not good. This is not good, especially for risk assets. And as you know, Bitcoin is still a risk on asset. Bitcoin is still a lot affected by the risk appetite from investors. Although a lot of people think it's a safe haven asset, but as we all know, it's not yet there as in gold. But it's not going good. And why is this? Well, the most important reason that people think we won't see a rate cut is the inflation number. So inflation is still at 3%, the CPI. And yeah, we don't have official government data. So the only thing we can do is we can take a look at Trueflation. But that's not looking good either. So from April on, you can see Trueflation going up. And I think the number of the government will show the same thing. And I even think this is maybe one of the reasons that they don't want to show the numbers, because they're not looking good.
I would spook the market even harder than it is spooked now.
Then the other thing is here. So the Fed, maybe a little bit lower, I read it. So apparently a lot of Fed officials, they turned hawkish, and they said that where, yeah, here. So on Friday, which was yesterday, Kansas City Fed President Jeffrey Schmidt, what am I looking for?
Repeated hawkish views.
Yeah, repeated hawkish views. Yeah, that's what. So this is what he said. It's not obvious that monetary policy should be doing more right now. So what he basically says is that the Fed should not necessarily cut in December. Then another person from the Fed said that as I look to the December meeting, I think it would be hard to support another rate cut unless we were to get convincing evidence that inflation is really coming down faster than my expectations, and which is not the case. So a lot of Fed officials said that no, we will probably not cut in December. On top of that, we knew, and we talked about this last week, that Jerome Powell said he said a rate cut in December is far from a foregone conclusion. Yeah, so these are the reasons that, of course, yeah, even if so the Fed official said it, yeah, then of course the market is gonna bet as well that we won't see rate cuts in December. So I don't know, inflation not looking good, Fed officials saying that they're not gonna cut rates, and then of course we have employment data which is not being showed either. So which, like I said, with the inflation numbers, I think if the US government doesn't want to show employment data, I suppose it's not looking good either. So yeah,
it's not looking good.
But and then on the other hand, so for every bearish thing that I say, I want to flip the coin and turn it a little bit bullish. Since we already saw the drop because people think, and because it's priced in that now we won't see a rate cut, so we saw the Bitcoin drop based on this. Now, if the Fed does cut rates in December, it won't be priced in, and Bitcoin will probably go up. So you can also look at it that way. The drop already happened, basically. So it's nothing you have to worry about, or it's nothing you can do. I think it's priced in now. The drop has happened because of this. Yeah. And then the third, yeah, sorry, you can
go right ahead. No,
I wanted to say the third reason.
Go ahead for the third reason. I'll go after if it's not the same.
So my third reason, so these first two, they were macro related. So no US liquidity, and then maybe no interest rate cut. Then the third reason why we dropped, and this was yesterday, is that everyone thought that all of a sudden Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, they sold their Bitcoin. Everyone was thinking it. Why? Because this is from Arkham. They were making a lot of Bitcoin transactions. And then even Walter Bloomberg, which is a super big news account with more than 1 million followers, he said that that Michael Saylor strategy reduced its Bitcoin holdings. It's crazy. It's crazy that he said that. And so Michael Saylor had to come on this tweet to say there's no truth to this rumor. It even had how do you say this, community notes?
Yeah.
So that this is false, but I think Bitcoin dropped on this a couple of percent. I think 2, 3, 4, 5% was based because of this news, because this spooked the markets enormously. And I think when Michael Saylor, you don't think so?
Nah, but if anything, he moved Bitcoin as more margin for his positions.
I know that this is not true, but
he'll be the only one never selling. Sure. Depends on how experienced you are, right? I don't think somebody who's a market maker or has millions and millions in crypto sees Michael Saylor move Bitcoin and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna sell."
But maybe some algorithms that saw, okay, Saylor sold, boom.
It's absolutely possible that it's automated. And, there's monitors on the wallets, just like I have an alert on Satoshi wallets. There will be alerts and algos on Satoshi wallets and probably also on Saylor wallets.
Yeah, I think that was the reason. Algos on the Arkham Saylor wallets trigger some liquidations, more panic, and then it got resolved. So these were my three main reasons actually why Bitcoin went down last few days.